Welcome to another episode of Women of Consciousness. I'm going to be discussing some of the Pisces energies that are happening right now. We're in Pisces season. It's the last day of February as I go live this morning. I have to say, January, oh my gosh, January felt like it dragged on forever. And February has just blown right by for me. Here we are, the very, very end of it already. So that's exciting. Mars recently went direct, and we had a new moon last night in my location. The new moon in Pisces. So it's been a lot of shifting forward energy, feeling like that stagnation and that slowdown of winter. For the last few months, really. And now all of a sudden, I'd say in the last few days, I've really have been feeling this momentum pushing forward and kind of ready to welcome spring, ready to welcome all of these beautiful new beginnings that are coming in for us as a collective. So very, very intense time. Astrologically, energetically, we have planets coming into the sky that have been aligning for the past month. And then I know today and tomorrow, they're kind of in this perfect alignment as Mercury joins. And then they start to shift and move. So really a great time to tap in to our intentions, our inner worlds, and really looking to see what it is that we're letting go of, what it is that this winter kind of called us to hibernate and examine about ourselves and, about the past season that we just kind of went out of, and where we're going, right? So we're in the final stretch here in the northern hemisphere of winter, about a month left, just under a month officially before the equinox. Yay. I'm so excited. But it's been a very heavy winter, and I talked about this a little bit in my last podcast where I was just really trying to catch up about what had been kind of going on, that I had been sensing and feeling and noticing around those people within my circle and outside of my circle, and just kind of, noticing that we were all bringing these themes of a really, really heavy, intense winter. So now where we're at on the cusp of March 1st here in Pisces season, we are shifting into new beginnings. The new moon last night really kind of ushered in the eclipse gateway. We have a full moon total eclipse. So it'll be like a blood moon in the middle of the night overnight, March 13th, 14th, I believe, or 14th, 15th, depending on time zone. I know for me, it's the 14th. And so I've really been feeling, I am a Pisces. My birthday is coming up very shortly here in the first week of March. I'm super excited and totally focusing on self-care. But I've been really, I would say, more third eye expansion and tapped in to the element of Pisces, and really feeling that with this flow of water, with this momentum that we're kind of in right now, it's really about allowing yourself to daydream and get kind of swept up in fantasy. Pisces are known for struggling with reality, because they're just not grounded, right? They're always swimming in those waters. And it can be emotional, it can be dreamy, it can be escapism. The rough side of Pisces energy is addiction and escapism. So that can be very tough right now if it is feeling like the weight of winter is still there with you and it hasn't let up yet. And now Pisces season kicks in. And so maybe wanting to drink alcohol or self-medicate, wanting to shop more, like whatever it is that we have all these different coping mechanisms to bring us pleasure, to bring us stress relief and all these things. And then when we don't balance them, they can become really addictive and unhealthy. So in Pisces season, please notice your coping mechanisms and how that can get really imbalanced and turn up more in addictive ways. But otherwise, the beautiful, fun side of Pisces is very dreamy and creative. It is swimming in the cosmic ocean of like all of these depths. So you don't want to like go all the way down to the murky, mucky bottom depths of the waters, right? Where it's cold and dark and heavy. You don't really want to stay at the shallow top. So it's like a way of navigating, again, the mid currents and just allowing the universal consciousness, right? The stream, the river to flow, to like you be able to flow and swim. You're not trying to swim against the current, because then you're just exhausting all of your energy, your physical energy, your mental energy. You're not really tapping into creativity because you're so drained and exhausted. And then you're just trying to force any productivity that feels creative. So really what Pisces season, just think of yourself literally as a fish, right? Like the salmons that do these mighty, mighty swims, like against the currents. There's strength and there's resiliency for sure. But there comes a time where you need to not always be like charging and resisting and forceful. You have to flow. You have to surrender. You have to become one with the energy and allow it to just move you where we're needed to move. With the new moon, with the eclipses, this is a brand new energy cycle. And it's not only new in the fact of Pisces closes out, right? Pisces is the 12th and final sign. It's the connection, the gateway to spirituality after you've gone through all 12 zodiac signs. So with the new moon and the Pisces season, yes, we're kind of wrapping up the past year astrologically as winter closes, and Aries, that equinox, will be that new beginning. But with the eclipses, they go backwards. So we just ended a year and a half of Aries and Libra. So that shut out like almost a decade of those patterns of pairs. Eclipses come in pairs. They're every 6 months in these gateways, and it's like a year and a half, 18-month cycles until like they switch into the next zodiac pair. So it's really cool. It's really fascinating. I've talked about eclipses before in other episodes. They're definitely meant to realign us with our destiny, with our purpose. So again, it can be a massive amount of tumultuous energy that wants to shift us, that wants us to break out of the old comfort zones, the old ways of our habits. And it wants us to really tap into our potential, right? It wants us to heal our wounds. It wants us to change our narratives and our stories. And it wants us to like find more alignment with our soul purpose and get out of like the ego that kind of can get us stuck, really stuck in the human aspect of life. And when we can kind of balance human ego and know that we're co-creating, right, with the universe, and things aren't happening to us, but are happening with us and for us. Just changing our perspective a little bit and changing our terminology a little bit can really shift how we feel impacted by that more intense electrically charged energy that eclipses bring, because the eclipse, with it starting out with a full moons are all about releasing and letting go, and new moons, obviously new beginnings, new intentions. And with an eclipse, it's like 10 times the charged power that we would have in a normal full moon. Oh, excuse me. So it's much, much more amplified. Like I said, they come in pairs. So with the new moon that we're currently under right now, it's opening up this gateway portal. On the 14th, in 2 weeks, we'll have that first eclipse, and then 2 weeks followed with the new moon, bringing in again that Aries kind of equinox, new beginning, springtime energy. So for like, and then it takes maybe like 2 weeks after. So it really is like over the next month. This is a really beautiful, impactful, powerful time. So it can be really heavy where we're at from the winter. I have been realizing through my own introspection and retrospection of the past 6 months, since the eclipse, Virgo Pisces eclipse that really began in September, kind of opening up this energy, and it was closing out the Aries Libra as they were like overlapping a little bit in the fall. So as we're coming out of winter now, preparing to come out, I have been looking at my own archetypal journey more in depthly and just having more puzzle pieces, right, coming together and being like, oh, okay, this is why this happened. And okay, now I understand this. And it's really, everything is mirroring right now the September, October energies. When I'm looking back at my own personal journey, I am recognizing that I knew I was going into the underworld, right? And this is something that we've done podcast episodes on in the past, talking about the underworld, the archetypes, the heroine's journey, all of these things that are the way that consciousness is just structured. It's how consciousness grows and evolves is through these aspects of development. And so I was very much aware that I was surrendering and going into the underworld right after the last autumn equinox. It was very intense for me personally. I had some hard struggles, and I recognized how deep I was into my own psyche. I mean, I was down, down, down into like the darkest depths of my psyche. And I realized I was dealing with persona, right? We all have ways of of wearing masks and having personas and whatnot. But the more you do shadow work and the more that you really surrender to being an alchemist and really understand what that truly is, the emotional and mental alchemy that you have to go through every single day. It doesn't make it easier energetically, but it makes it easier consciously through like self-awareness. So in the fall, I recognized I was out of alignment with my heart, with my passion. I was kind of forcing myself to work realistically because it was all pretty much career based, and this is where my huge struggle has been. We're shifting the matrix, right? 4D, 5D, new earth, whatever vocabulary people use. We know that massive shifts are happening. We know that the past ways of society being structured and our cultural conditions and expectations and all of these things are not in alignment with where we are evolving to. And right now, there's a lot of intense energies fighting systems and trying to crumble systems and remake systems, which is all a part of the process, right? And this is where we have to surrender and not allow fear to take over. And we have to trust in this greater organization that is the universe, multiverse. And so I knew I was going into my underworld journey, very much like Persephone and Inanna. Again, talked about those in previous episodes. I recognized right away, okay, I am deep into the level of darknesses that I've never faced. And this is really, really scary. The dark feminine, so beautiful in all of her power and her mystery. Very much Kali, right? Creator and destroyer. If it didn't work, I'll destroy it and I'll create it again. There's a lot of power that is recalled, and that an archetypal energy, self-empowerment. There's a frustration and anger um, at the way creations turn out and don't come to manifest. And so like that's where the destruction, kind of comes up, and it's like I will destroy it and I will recreate it. So that theme was coming up multiple times throughout my winter journey. And the whole career thing really took over, where I felt completely out of alignment and I didn't feel the passion. I felt drained. I felt exhausted. I felt like I'm just a resource, right? I'm just this resource that this darker energy is trying to tap into and drain. And it's all about, in a lot of ways, money, realistically. Like we know our economy is kind of just been going through massive chaos, really. I mean, it's always flowing. But I would say since COVID, this newer round, because we got through the 08-09 housing crisis and all of that stuff, and kind of steadied back up until 2020. And then, we've been navigating post-COVID. So I have just struggled with working in a system that feels out of alignment with who I truly am authentically and with what I'm trying to create. And so just for financial stability, right? Because we all need to make sure our survival instincts, otherwise, if we're in survival versus thriving, like your root chakra, your inner masculine energy, it will let you know when it feels, secure or threatened. And then that's all you can focus on. That's all you can see and navigate. And so I went through my root chakra and my masculine energy really kind of being off balance, because my heart and my passion and my soul is trying to guide me. It's trying to guide me into like this whole new realm of things that are, like the arts, right? The arts aren't seen as a safe job, but being a doctor is seen as like a safe job. And so it's like kind of like that mentality. Everything that Natalie and I have created with this business of Women of Consciousness, everything like that we put into like the structure so that we could build a solid foundation and then be able to like just play creatively with the branches and how things comes up naturally. That's where I want to be, and that's what I want to do. But it's still in a building phase. We're still nurturing the foundation. We're still trying to figure out the structure, because it's so beautifully big and vague, and there's so much I want to do. Like, I am not a small box type person. I am very flexible and adaptive, and I have a lot of Sagittarius. That's my most dominant. And so my Pisces and my Sagittarius, they will dream big and then really want to go after that adventure and expansion. And so that's been a lot for me to have to learn personally, because I have no earth in my birth chart. So I've had to learn a lot about grounding. And it took me a long time to understand earth signs in the beginning when I got into astrology. I couldn't relate to them. I couldn't quite understand them. So it was the last kind of element in the zodiac that I could finally relate to people and understand like their qualities. And so that kind of brings me back to looking at where we are with, Virgo tying in with Pisces, because again, eclipse is coming in pairs. If the autumn equinox was the entry way into the gateway, and we've been in the underworld all winter, Now we're preparing, right? We're preparing for the exit. So it's like the light at the end of the tunnel. We've gone through the 7 gateways. Ironically, it was funny because around November, I have a talisman necklace that I wear, and I had taken it off to be in a hot tub, to protect the necklace. And I forgot. I just forgot to put it back. And I had left it behind at the place that I was, and it was out of state. I had just gone away for a night for an adventure with a friend. And I realized the next morning when I was on the highway driving home, like I didn't have my necklace. And like I called the place, and luckily like they went into the room and they found it. And they put it aside, and my friend was able to go get it for me. But it was like a whole month later because I didn't want it to be mailed. I was like, wait till I see you again. So it was a good, oh my gosh, 6 weeks without going with this like daily, talisman of protection that I wear. And I remember just like scrolling through and finding this astrology page that I was reading about Venus in the night sky and her placement and where Inanna was on her underworld journey. And it was funny because it was the gateway of the throat, and where she had to give up her necklace and her lapis lazuli, and and it was where she was getting it back or whatnot. So it was so beautifully like entwined energetically and symbolically. Um, and again with the throat, right, is about speaking our truth and being open and expressing authentically. And I struggle with that sometimes because I have such a big heart, and I I have so much like just love and passion and excitement, and I really think people aren't ready to receive that and it scares people. Right? So I have to like remember to like, anchor it down a little bit. But it was just a beautiful, I won't even say coincidence. It was just absolute alignment and synchronicity. And so it kind of was one of those points where it's like, oh, okay, this is again a reminder of like where I'm at on my journey. Like I'm at this halfway point. I'm doing the work. And then it's rewards. It's really cool. Like when the universe rewards you during these like heroes and heroines journeys, when you get through these challenges and you go through these gateways, like there's always this elixir of life reward stage. And when you're open to it and you can recognize like I deserve this is my gift from the universe, and I'm going to allow myself to do this for me or say yes to this experience, it's just so beyond beautiful. And so really that's how my winter went. It was like going into the gateway and recognizing like I'm showing up in this world and I'm kind of struggling to follow my heart and my purpose and my passion. But like I need to be survival like mode, right? I need to be safe. I need to be provided for. Like I can't go risk everything on a whim and not have that financial stability. So the masculine and the feminine within me, my heart, my mind, coming into more and more alignment within, I was seeing it more reflected in my external spaces. And because I'm an integration coach in psychedelic experiences, holding space for others in retreats has opened up my personal self-awareness and my own conscious awareness to how the universe again is structured. Has been just a phenomenal gift and blessing, and nothing I could have ever known was going to happen to me when I began that path. And so when I sat on a medicine journey with psilocybin, like I said, it had been very masculine energy, masculine heavy for the guest, and then the energy. And I talked about this in my last episode. So that was so very, very insightful and helpful. And it's been so profound. It has truly stayed with me like almost every day. It has gotten me through the heaviness of the winter. It has gotten me down into the depths of the roots of my own structure, allowing it to be rewired, allowing it to be nourished. And so now here we are again, Pisces season, getting dreamy, being reborn. It's about to be my personal solar return. Um, and so now I'm looking at the past few months of my winter journey and recognizing as I'm coming out of the underworld, right? And Anana has her death. She comes off the hooks and she's reborn and released from the gateway. But then there's a whole nother journey because someone has to take her place. There's all of these things, and she ends up punishing her husband. And I will say the nature gods were definitely deities that I tapped into this winter through the tantric energy. So very much like Pan, for that masculine energy, which I feel like we've lost touch with and are out of balance with. We talk about Mother Earth, but we don't see the Father Sky, the Father Earth energy. And then we talk about God as a man, but we don't see the goddess. So we're very imbalanced, energetically, spiritually, physically, on nature level. And so that's what Pisces and Virgo really do. That's what I've come to really see, that you can be swimming around in this vast ocean of consciousness, but it has to be structured, right? There has to become some type of container. Otherwise, it's just water. It's just if you look out at a pond, it's great, it's just vast water. There's no container outside of the pond. You try and collect the water. It's just going to run through a net, or it's going to, stay in a small jar, when you used to catch tadpoles in the little jars. So that's kind of what we're doing, right? We're taking this vast, open, conscious field, and we're making a container now. It's really figuring out, what am I looking at? What am I striving to create? What are my goals? And with Virgo, you have the virgin, you have the maiden. So it's very young. It's very naive, right? Persephone, before she became queen of the underworld, before she was taken in, she was very young. She's very naive. You have this innocence. You haven't been corrupted by other people and relationships. There's just this beauty of life, right? Just daydreaming in meadows and frolicking at beautiful with flowers and friends. So this beautiful young maiden energy. And so with that, it then kind of, right, the Virgo energy becomes organized. It becomes structured, particular. Virgos, I think, get a lot of crap about maybe OCD stuff. But that's what Pisces energy needs. It needs some kind of structured container to bring it through, to bring it out of the spiritual and into the physical embodiment. So allow yourself to notice your thought space, allow yourself to notice your daydreams and your fantasies, because that is your biggest inclination to a dreamy soul ego piece of you that is trying to maybe move, right? Move, shift your current circumstances. Maybe you want to move to a whole new city. And that's a very, very scary step, to pack up your life and move. But with the Pisces energy, don't allow the fear to become the daydream, right? Get curious, get playful, have fun. Notice what excites you. Notice what you're fantasizing about and what you're trying to get away from. I used to, oh my God, when I used to work in retail in my 20s, I would be fantasizing in my head the whole entire shift. Just because I didn't really want to be, I didn't want to be working retail, that was for sure. So and I didn't really I didn't really notice any of it. I wasn't paying attention to any of it. It was just a waste of energy. It was a waste of time. And it was just like carried away, right? Now you're just floating downstream and floating downstream, and there's nothing happening. It's just all energy moving, and you're not holding on to anything. You're not taking ideas and trying to like bring that into the physical. So because that, again, with the Pisces energy, that can be something that can be a tendency to just get carried away with the daydream and the fantasies, and then not actually take the action steps to implement and bring them into reality. So Virgo energy is there. It is helping us. I would say right now, look back at your fall, look back to September, October. Those themes are going to be kind of playing out again right now. Whatever you didn't fully work through, or you didn't understand, or maybe it was just a little bit of the lesson, and now you've taken baby steps throughout the winter, and now here it is coming full cycle to like wrap it up. So I would say this is where conscious intention and conscious self-awareness really plays a beautiful key role. This is where you have the opportunity to recognize, do I want to be a phoenix or a snake? A phoenix is going to die and be reborn, die and be reborn, die and be reborn, which is beautiful, but it's going to keep repeating the same cycles because it hasn't learned, it hasn't shifted the energy to cut it off. It just has to go through it again, and it dies, and then it has to go through it again. So you want there to be a death and a rebirth, but you want it to be like transformative, like the snake energy. You want to know that you're shedding skin and you're growing, that this feels like a whole new path opening up. It doesn't feel like another cycle, like so familiar, deja vu. I've been here. I can't get these situations to stop. That's going to be the phoenix. The snake is going to feel vulnerable. It's going to feel fresh. It's going to feel scary. It's going to feel confusing. A leap of faith, trust. You're going to have to trust in the process. So just noticing, we're at the end of winter. So things are coming out of their death cycle. They're starting to wake up. We're in an overlap. You need to recognize what habits, what behaviors, what thought patterns, what emotional regulation states, all of these levels and layers of who we are psychologically, egotistically, right? Because it's all about stripping away the conditioned and the wounded, and healing and integrating and piecing back together the psyche, the persona, the ego, the shadow, the divine feminine, the divine masculine, the wounded feminine, the wounded masculine, the inner child. Not only the inner child as a wholeness, but the inner child as its own inner feminine and inner masculine. Because you have your own little boy and own little inner girl within you through these energies that make you either balanced or completely dominant in one energy and wounded and suppressed in the other energy. So the more that, and that's what alchemy is about. That's what twin flames and the whole freaking sacred marriage, that's what it's about. It's not about another person. It's not about a relationship with some other person that's going to elevate you. It's about you doing the own work internally to reclaim all of your own pieces and shards and fragmented energies, and reuniting them, rebalancing them, healing them, integrating them, and unfolding like this beautiful mandala, this beautiful lotus with 1,000 petals that just keep unfolding. And then that's what it's about, right? It's just layers and levels of that over and over again. It's really how consciousness is structured. And you'll evolve consciously. You come out of the heavier, darker, low vibrations, and your frequency will rise up and your vibration will rise up. Ego itself, right? We know that there's lots of different ego developments that happen throughout our lifetimes. That's why it's like midlife crisis type thing, because you're dealing with an amount of wisdom now that you're integrating from all those maiden stages and all those mother stages. And now like the crone is coming into balance. So there really is a lot happening under the surface that we're really not always aware of. Even when we are aware of certain elements, there's always other ripple effects that we're not seeing the full picture of, and we're never going to. We're just not meant to. We're here because we're supposed to be having a human journey, for our spiritual journey, So it's really about integrating all of it. So yeah, I'm going to wrap up in a minute, but I just really kind of wanted to come on and really just talk about where we're at in this shifting of endings and new beginnings. It doesn't matter if you're looking at it through the moon and the sun and the way that they're aligning in the zodiac, through the eclipses and whatnot, or if you're looking at it through like the moon and the new moon energy, if you're looking at it seasonally with the equinox coming, there's going to be lots of shifts. We have a lot of beautiful alignments happening this year. So think about the seeds right now. It's a time to be planting seeds in the northern hemisphere at the end of winter. In the southern hemisphere, you guys are reaping, right? You're reaping what you just sowed. All of the growth that you had since your last winter, in your spring and in your summer. So now like you're collecting all of that energy, all that you put out, you're getting back. And then it's scarcity. Winter is meant to be scarcity, survival. So as we plant our seeds right now, notice what you're thinking about, watery element, of the emotions with Pisces. A lot of tears can come up. Allow yourself to cry, allow yourself to purge through tears, release, nourishing the seeds of what you want, get excited, find a way to feel creative without forcing it, make space, just set intentions, to have space for that creative energy. Sometimes just getting bored, right? If we can just be in boredom rather than trying to always stay busy or distract ourselves, or we tend to really, really go too much into the Virgo energy where we have to focus on all of our responsibilities and all of the things that are needing our attention. But really balance, really find more inner balance between your heart and your mind, doing and being. Allow yourself to just be. You don't always have to do stuff. And that's really hard because it goes against what we've been conditioned to believe. We're considered lazy, right? It's lazy if we slow down, or it's selfish if we put ourselves first in any way above, but you have to be your number one priority. You really, truly do. Your health, your self-care has to be your number one priority, because when you start breaking down and feeling drained and burnt out, you have nothing to give anyone else. And then your mood shifts. You're setting yourself up for chakra blocks, energy blocks within the body, which then leads to diseases and health issues. So really, in this final stretch of winter, allow yourself just to release what feels heavy. Allow yourself to come back to that affirmation of I am protected, I am provided, everything I need, I have in this moment. And then allow yourself to get swept up in the daydream and the fantasy of the Pisces energy. Allow yourself to swim in the cosmic oceans of what do I really truly want for myself. And then you use the Virgo energy to start setting goals, to start looking at action steps, to start making plans, and using those energies together to bring it over, right? Bring it over from the spiritual into the physical manifestation. So that's kind of all I really have for this morning. I am definitely missing my weekly podcast episodes with Natalie, for sure. I am trying to find other people to collaborate with and to come on here and have discussions, so it's not just me rambling on. I'm again very, very grateful for the support that Women of Consciousness receives. Our website, womenofconsciousness.com, you can find all podcast episodes on there, as well as other, streaming spots like Spotify and Pandora, iTunes, I believe. And then events. We do have events coming up. I'm gearing up for quite a bit with the equinox. It's kind of where I'm at, just waiting, waiting for the universe to make alignments and shifts for me so I can do those action steps. Because I have a lot planned for the summer, the whole year. Realistically, I have a lot geared up. So you can stay up to date with whatever we're doing and what's happening through our website. But thanks for being here. And if you walk away with anything from today's episode, it's just take some space for yourself and notice what the eclipse is bringing to you, because it will mess with your food and diet. It will mess with your sleep. It will mess with your energy elevations, from feeling really down into like the third dimension of heaviness to feeling really elevated up into more fifth frequency, where you feel really like in tuned and psychic. So just notice yourself, self-awareness, right? That's what it's all about, consciousness and how it's expanding and healing. Take care. Thanks for being here.